An absolute shocker from Gurugram, just on the border of the national capital, where a military veteran was assaulted by drunk thugs with beer bottles. These men then tried to abduct him. They tried to extort him for money. This after a minor traffic skirmish. Colonel Yadav's story is sending shockwaves in the military community, but should affect us all, even those who are not from the military but are committed to respecting and honoring our soldiers. Something we all say we do. But then, is this how we treat our military veterans? It's an absolute shocker of a case. I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo story. On the program today, Colonel Anil Yadav, a military veteran, was assaulted by drunk hooligans who had beer bottles. Colonel Yadav was dragged out of his car. His head was banged against a vehicle. He had to seek help in hospital. And there was even an attempt to kidnap him, to abduct him. When he tried to tell his assaulters that he was a soldier, a man who has stood in defense of our country, the men turned around and said that they did not care for the military. In fact, they said, "Hum bhi zamindar ke bacche hain." The men have been arrested now, but there are larger questions that arise. How do we treat our military veterans? And if this is the kind of violence that can be inflicted on veterans, then as Colonel Yadav himself has asked, he shudders to think how regular, routine citizens might be treated, as a certain kind of lawless entitlement is often manifest on the streets of our country and our cities. Let me welcome Colonel Yadav to our program now. You can see from the scars on his forehead that he is still recovering. And of course, the psychological scars are much more traumatic, sir. We hope you're better. We hope you're well. And this, of course, all happened because of a minor traffic skirmish. You know how our cities are, how bad the traffic is. A car swerved towards your car. You tried to avoid that car, and you minorly hit this vehicle with these goons. And you even offered to say, look, if there's any damage, I'll pay it. But they were rude, they were obnoxious, they were violent. I don't want you to keep recounting again and again what happened, but briefly for anybody in our audience who may not know, how did it come to the point where they were trying to kidnap you? They were dragging you into their car, they were banging your head against the vehicle, they were trying to hit you with beer bottles. It's bone chilling, sir.
Barkha, thank you for your kind words. And basically, everybody knows now, it's been in the paper, it's in the news that the incident happened. I don't deny there was a slight collision in the cars. Both cars were damaged, mine and theirs. There's no escaping that place. I could have easily driven off. I was in a bigger car, but I stopped, and I stopped to come out, see the damage, talk to the other driver, and just talk to them and finish it off there.
Mm.
And then when they came out and I saw that they were aggressive, they were holding beer bottles, and there were plenty of them, 5, 6 of them. I thought that it may not be prudent to be talking to them on the road, so I just got into my car back. But they opened the door and dragged me out. That's all. But there are facts to it which I want to bring out is, firstly, we don't deny, yes, there was a collision. Secondly, I offered them compensation. I was not saying that, okay, fine, it's your problem and I'm not going to help you with this. Thirdly, they were not in a mood to talk. They were not in a mood to accept any compensation or anything. They were more, they were aggressive, they were boisterous, they were all wearing those shiny suits which you wear to weddings, and they were drunk. They were probably out looking for fun. That's what I feel. And then they started all what they did. They attacked me, they vandalized my car. And when the traffic was piling up, they realized that this is not the place to do this for longer. So they tried to take me away from there to some other spot. But fortunately, they could not move my car because they didn't know how to move it. Actually, you have to put the seat belt into the buckle and then only it will move.
Mm.
So after a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes, they finally decided that we need to take whatever we can from him and stop it here. And that's when I asked them for that UPI thing so that I could firstly get my phone back. Secondly, I get a trace of where the payment is going. And then
I mean,
obviously I
that
also
was
wanted to
great.
lend
That
this.
was great presence of mind that you offered to pay them the 30,000 rupees they wanted by UPI so that, as you said, you could recover your phone and later you were able to track them down.
Yes, yes, that was very important for me because I knew this is not going to end here. In between, I also mentioned to them that look, I am a Fauji, I am a ex-army, I am colonel. The reason for saying this, because I don't go around mentioning people that I am an ex-colonel Fauji and all that. The reason for saying this was not to gain their sympathy or to, escape or something. The reason was very simple. I wanted to tell them that look, this is not going to end here. So, being
Yeah.
a army guy and being a senior army guy, you will face consequences for this. This was a sort of cautionary warning to them. They took it in another sense. They went on that we don't care whether you're army or you're a veteran or you're old. I also told them I'm your dad's age. They said, fine, we also have people in the army and all you have it in the papers.
And they
So,
said
and
हम भी जमींदार के बच्चे हैं.
yes, yes, they did say that. And in fact, I also told them that, look, I also belong to the same area where you came from. So I was trying to engage them in conversation also so that, some sense prevails, but nothing was working actually. So I knew that these boys are basically they are, that bigger in Haryana belt, especially rural areas, the boys have a very, very weird sense of entitlement. They have a weird sense of, superiority because they're brought up like that. It's very sad,
Yeah.
but that's the truth about rural Haryana. So I knew that these guys are going to do what they do. So the best thing I thought was, look, you can't start my car. You hit me enough. Get your money and get out. Give me my phone. And that's what they did.
And at one point, they tried to take you into their car.
Yes, of course they did. I was in their car for almost 10 minutes, maybe
What were
more.
you thinking? What were you thinking? I mean, you're a soldier, you're trained for much worse than this. You're trained for battle, you're trained for war. But in your own city, in a civilian context, to have this kind of lawlessness, this hooliganism, this gundagardi, drunk men, one has often seen that when you put an army man, I've been a lifelong devotee of the forge, and I've often seen that when you put forges in a civilian situation, because you're so well mannered, you're so chivalrous, you're so well trained, you're so polite. Sometimes when you're dealing with civilians, आपका फौजी side थोड़ा subsume हो जाता है. So I'm wondering, when you were sitting in that car, what were you thinking when they tried to take you away?
See, actually, I was happy that they put me in that car for
Acha.
simple reason. Firstly, car is a constricted space. You can't move around too much. So if you want to hit somebody or something, you don't have that much of space to maneuver. And it's easier for me to defend myself with my hands. Secondly, I was happy, that they don't have a sharp-edged weapon. So that was a big relief to me that, okay, I'm not going to die today, I'm going to survive today. Because they can't do much damage with hands. We've done a lot of
Yeah.
boxing. They had used their bottles, broken their bottles, thrown that away. So I said their actual weapon is now gone. So only what they had was their hand. So I knew that things are not going to go out of hand. I got thinking and I got time to talk to them, maybe mislead them or do whatever, get their telephone number through the UPI thing and all. So that was a good thing. But that apart, these are small things. The main thing is how could these boys be on that street in that condition and do what they did without fear of repercussions, without any
Yeah.
fear of anything at all? What did they thought? What do they think? What is the general youth in our society today feel?
Yeah.
That they can get away with anything, or is there no law in this country? So, and I talk to my son who's 25, and sometimes I get to feel there also. Sorry, there's some food coming. There also, I feel that he feels yes, we lack some laws, some enforcement of laws, and things like that. So
Yeah.
I think education is one thing. I remember when we were kids in second standard, fourth standard, we used to have a subject called moral science when we were kids.
Yeah.
And that was so good. I used to be interested in moral science more than any other subject because they used to teach us that when you see your neighbor, what do you do? How you wish. When you see your friend, how do you wish? When you see somebody young, somebody senior, when you cross a road, you look twice right and once left.
Yeah.
Those kind of things were taught to us when we were kids. I'm not sure whether today they're teaching these to kids or not. In Western countries, they have life sciences, they have a subject
More.
specified for, they call it life lessons or something like that. Every country has different things where they teach you how to small basic things like opening a bank account, maintaining a credit card, how to use a credit card. As per the age levels, they teach people everything, and that is where they learn traffic rules. Where are
When I
traffic rules taught in
saw,
our?
absolutely, when I saw what happened to you, two things came to my mind. One was the incident involving, I don't know if you saw in Punjab, an army officer's wife, a serving army officer's wife, Mrs. Bath. She really picked up cudgels when her husband was basically pushed around and shoved around actually by the local police. And finally, there was a CBI inquiry because she fought so hard. And more recently, here, sir, in Delhi, in Dwarka, we saw a woman lose her 23-year-old son, Sahil, because a teenager was out making reels in a car that he should never have been driving, and that boy died. He was, thrown out of his scooter's seat and he died. So you're absolutely right that there's a much deeper malaise here. And I want to know, sir, did the police cooperate well with you? Did the police cooperate well?
Well, I have to submit here that initially the police were not very cooperative. But yes, yesterday onwards, when the media got involved and all, the police are absolutely very cooperative now. Maybe the investigating officer and the others were still confused as to what has happened, and maybe now they're better informed that what has happened and they got the right sense and the right direction. I'm not blaming the police. I'm just saying that the police has to be more proactive in these cases, and immediately they should take some breathalyzer test or some blood test of the people involved. And even me, for that matter, they should have taken a breathalyzer or a blood test. But yes, since I was in a hospital, the doctors did that. That's fine. But the
Yeah.
boys who were there, they were not tested at
Yeah.
all. So
What did your
we
son say?
actually,
Your son is the age of maybe these men, right? Roughly the same generation.
these men are all below 23. My son is 25. But most of my son's studies have been abroad, so he doesn't relate well to here this kind of atmosphere and all. But he's trying his best to understand
No,
it.
you were saying
So
no, that he was sharing that he thinks that our country needs tougher laws.
absolutely, he's very positive about it because he spent time almost 8 years in the US. He's spent time in Africa, Botswana. He spent time in France 2 years,
Yeah.
and he's seen out there how things happen. And out here, he says the policing requires a lot of reform. You see, and we also know the police in the IO especially. They take the role of the judge. They
Yeah.
start judging people right there from the incident onwards till the time they file the report. So the report becomes highly biased. It is biased by their own judgment of the events, whether it is right or wrong. I'll not say that. But that's not the job of a policeman. The policeman should record the facts. The investigation has to go as per proper scientific methods, which needs to be taught to
Yeah.
them. I'm sure they're being taught. I'm not saying our police academies are not doing it, but there has to be refresher trainings. There has to be constant monitoring whether you guys are following the rules or not, whether you're recording your evidence, you're recording everything. In my incidents, in this instant also, I can say they did not do that. They should have taken
Yeah.
the breathalyzer test of these guys. They should have taken the samples from their cars, whatever in the car, their bottles. There were drugs in the car. I was sitting in that car.
There were
I
drugs.
saw
There were
packets of,
drugs.
yes, in the car on the dashboard, and this boy, he hid it in his pocket. After I told the police that look, he hid drugs in his pocket. They said, "नहीं sir, आपको कैसे पता वो drug है?" So obviously, unless you
So
take the
basically,
material,
sir,
put it through an
basically, if the
analysis.
media, can I put it to you like this? If the media had not made the noise it did when they found out, when we all found out about your case, maybe the police wouldn't have reacted. They're finally reacting because there's such outrage over this.
Yes, so like I said, the police would have judged the case there and then and finished it there and then. So they become the judiciary, and most of the times I've seen this. The moment an incident happens, they form an opinion and they start investigating in the line of their opinion without bothering about collecting the correct evidence so that the judge can make an informed decision later on.
Yeah.
And we have seen so many times, I hear high profile cases in the media where the judge has to say that he's released because of lack of evidence. How can we have a lack of evidence in a country which is so advanced?
Absolutely. Let me ask you in the end, sir. You've also made the point that if you were not a Fauji, if you were not a veteran, if you were somebody whose encounter would not get reported, right? Whose
Yeah.
assault and extortion would not have got reported in the media. And I can still see you're having to, your wounds are there, you're still having to clean them up.
I was in bed. I decided to do it sitting because I don't want to be in a bed when I'm talking to Barkha Dutt. Of course, you are an icon. So,
No, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's very sweet of you. If you've made this point, if this could happen to a veteran, imagine what would happen to somebody else. So I just want your last thoughts on that, sir.
well, I really dread that if they can do this despite giving cautionary evidence to them that you are dealing with an army officer, things will go far from this. It will not stop here. There will be repercussions. Despite all that, if these boys are ready to do this, and if there is a normal person there in the car, I don't know what they can do to him. If they can do this to people who are actually in uniform and people who have access to all sorts of authority and people who they know that they are not going to stop at this. And
Absolutely.
especially, I'm very, very worried that what they can do to ladies coming back from work in the night. So,
Absolutely, sir.
and I
Absolutely.
dread to think what these ladies must be going through in their own psyche when they're driving through such roads, through such kind of environment to reach home. Those 40 minutes for them would be really very, very troubling.
Their impunity and lawlessness is where our attention must be, and the fact that they thought they could get away, that is the really scary thing. Colonel, I'll only say that I stand in solidarity with you, and I hope that you are absolutely well. Wish you speedy recovery. It is shocking, and we are all standing in your corner and raising our voice against what has happened. I appreciate your time, even though you're not fully well. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Barkha.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Jai Hind, sir.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Jai Hind.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.